Inside one of these near-identical houses on this quiet Hertfordshire street, a crime almost unimaginable in its scale and nature. 3 women, a mother and her 2 adult daughters, killed inside their home in what police are calling a targeted attack.
On July 9th, 2024, the quiet community of Bushey, Hertfordshire, was shaken by an act of calculated brutality. Carol Hunt and her 2 daughters, Hannah and Louise, were murdered in their family home. The attacker was 26-year-old Kyle Clifford, Louise's ex-boyfriend and a former soldier. What unfolded was a meticulously premeditated assault involving a crossbow, a butcher knife, and hours of psychological and physical torment, all triggered by the end of a relationship. This is the case of the Hunt family. Carol Hunt, aged 61, was a devoted wife to BBC racing commentator John Hunt and a loving mother to their 2 daughters, Hannah, aged 28, and Louise, aged 25. The sisters were hard-working and shared a close bond with their family. Hannah worked as a beautician, while Louise ran a dog grooming business from an outbuilding at their home on Ashlyn Close. The Hunts were a grounded family, well-liked in the community and deeply connected to one another. But that same closeness would later place them in the path of a man whose anger had been quietly building. Louise met Kyle Clifford through mutual friends in early 2023. He seemed quiet and reserved at first, but over time, troubling patterns started to appear. According to Louise's family, he was controlling, had strong racist views, and often used degrading language about women. Despite the red flags, Louise stayed with him for about 18 months. Eventually, she decided she couldn't ignore his behavior any longer. On June 26, 2024, she broke up with him. She did it calmly and respectfully, something her father would later describe as a textbook mature breakup. But Kyle couldn't handle rejection. Instead of moving on, he quietly began planning a brutal attack. Over the next 2 weeks, Clifford became fixated on the idea of revenge. He told his brother and sister about the weapons he had, including a crossbow and bolts, but they didn't raise the alarm. He watched violent, misogynistic content online, especially videos by Andrew Tate.
I'm in my house. I can produce a weapon. A lot of people ask me, Andrew, why do you have a machete next to your bed? And my answer is simple. Why wouldn't I have a machete next to my bed? Why don't you have a machete next to your bed? Some little pussy-ass dude once said to me, yeah, but if it's next to your bed, what if you like upset a girl and she catches you cheating and gets a machete? Bro, there's no female alive, even with a machete, that would stand a chance against the immense power I possess. Woman do. Slap the machete, slap her in the face, one hand, machete, and then backhand. I perfected this in pimp school. When I got my PhD, we had to practice if a girl comes at you, you cheater, you cheating. It's bang out the machete, boom in her face, and then grip her up by the neck. Like, shut up, bitch!
In court, prosecutors described Tate as a poster boy for those who view women as possessions to be controlled, and said it was no coincidence Clifford turned to this material in the lead-up to the killings. By early July, Clifford had a plan. He would target Louise and her family. He bought restraints and knives, scoped out the house, and waited for the right moment. July 9th, 2024, started as any other day for the Hunt family, but it would quickly turn into a nightmare. Kyle Clifford arrived at the Hunt home. He parked his car nearby, scouting the area, before approaching the door under the guise of returning Louise's belongings. Carol, believing it was a simple exchange, let him in. But once inside, Clifford attacked. Without warning, he brutally stabbed Carol multiple times in the kitchen. After killing Carol, he took a moment to retrieve the crossbow from his car, knowing he still had plans to carry out. Louise arrived home completely unaware of the horror that had already unfolded. Clifford wasted no time. He restrained her and, in a horrific act, sexually assaulted her before using her phone to send a chilling message to her father, asking what time he'd be home. When Hannah arrived at the house, she had no idea her mother had already been killed and her sister was in immediate danger. Moments later, Clifford, aware that someone else was now in the house, panicked. In a sudden and brutal move, he shot Louise in the back with a crossbow. Hannah confronted him. There was shouting and chaos, but even in those terrifying moments, she managed to send a message to her partner that read, "He's tying us up." Clifford then turned on Hannah, shooting her too. Despite being fatally injured, she found the strength to call emergency services, an act that may have saved her father's life. Police arrived within minutes, but it was too late. All 3 women were dead. The news sent shockwaves through the local community and across the UK. A massive manhunt was launched for Kyle Clifford, who had fled the scene before officers arrived.
Police were called to a property in Ashland Close just before 7 p.m. last night. Officers attended alongside colleagues from the East of England Ambulance Service and, on arrival, found 3 women with serious injuries. Sadly, despite their best efforts, the women, who are believed to be related, died a short time later at the scene. The victims are aged 25, 28 and 61. Our overarching objective today is to protect public safety and to locate Kyle Clifford, who is wanted in connection with the murder of the 3 women in what we believe is a targeted incident. We have extensive police resources deployed to various locations in North London and also the Bushey area of Hertfordshire. The manhunt also involves armed police officers and specialist search teams responding at pace in the wake of what has been an horrific incident, involving what is currently believed to be a crossbow, but other weapons may also have been used. If members of the public see Kyle Clifford, they urge not to approach him at any point and to dial 999 immediately.
Roughly 24 hours later, he was discovered in Lavender Hill Cemetery in Enfield. He had attempted to take his own life using the same crossbow he had used in the murders. The injuries were severe, and although he survived, he was left paralysed from the waist down. He was taken into custody under police guard and later transferred to a secure medical facility. It was there that the full extent of his crimes began to unfold, and where the public would come to learn the horrifying details of how one man's obsession and misogyny had destroyed an entire family.
Do you accept, Kyle, that based on the evidence, that this is a premeditated murder of 3 people? Do you accept that you have meticulously planned this murder from the moment that you split up Louise? From the moment that she sent you that text message at the end of June, you began to plan her murder? Yes? It's evident quite clearly from your purchase of the crossbow, from your purchase of the additional bolts, from the purchase of the gun and the knife in the 2 weeks leading up to the murders. Do you agree? Do you agree that it shows that you only had one thing in mind, and that planning began when you purchased these items? You purchased rope and you purchased duct tape in order to restrain Louise and Hannah and Carol, didn't you? 5-6 days before this happened, you make these significant purchases that really only have one plausible explanation, didn't you? The only plausible explanation is that they were purchased in order for you to carry out these murders. Do you agree?
No comment.
You got to the address and you came well prepared. You came prepared with Louise's belongings, didn't you?
No comment.
Louise's belongings were your ticket into that address. Yes?
No comment.
You deceived your way into that address at the front door with Carol, pretending that you were having a civil and friendly conversation, and returning Louise's property, and you'd even written out a thank you card. Yes? Next thing I'd like to speak to you about, Kyle, is some more information, some more evidence that we've obtained from the download of your mobile phone. So on the mobile phone, in the notes section, there is a note which is titled Last Letter, and it's written to different family members as individual paragraphs addressed to each individual family member. This item was created on the 26th of June, and the last modification was on the 7th of July. The opening part of the note reads as such: "Please don't think of this as me throwing my life away. I have lived, and I am grateful for everything and everyone that has been a part of it. It is now my time to leave and be at peace, as this is what I ultimately want. I know you will all have so many questions and wish you could have done something different to prevent this. However, none of you have failed, and there is simply nothing any of you could have done. This is my decision to just be at peace. You all have to take care of each other and speak to each other, as that will be the best thing for you all. I love you all so much." You okay, Carl? To carry on? When you wrote that note, had you already planned the murders of Louise, Carol and Hannah? So I'm interested in the words "prevent this." So tell me what you mean by "prevent this." Do you mean the murders of Carol, Hannah and Louise? The next note is addressed to myself. "I don't want to live my life without her. I don't want to experience new things. Nothing I can think of can make me happy. I know I could have gone to therapy, found faith, and become a new, better person, but I just simply don't want to. I'm so sorry I didn't wait to move on and find my future wife, have the children I always wanted." What do you mean by that?
No comment.
Explain to me why you decided to deprive Hannah and Louise of that privilege.
No comment.
What gave you the right to do that?
No comment.
What gave you the right to deprive Carol of seeing her future grandchildren?
No comment.
It's a very self-centered note and doesn't take into account anybody else. Do you agree with that?
No comment.
There's no apology to the Hunt family, is there?
No comment.
The only apology is to yourself. Do you feel that these are quite self-centered words?
No comment.
Why didn't you seek help, Kyle?
No comment.
You couldn't be bothered, is what the letter suggests. Am I wrong?
No comment.
You don't want to live your life without her. Explain that.
No comment.
But of course, you sit here in front of us and she's dead. Tell me how this has happened.
No comment.
Is your intention to make people feel sorry for you writing these letters?
No comment.
Look at your behaviour. Look how calmly and nonchalantly you walk away from that house. You've just killed 3 people and you stroll away like you're going down the shops. It wasn't a crime of passion. It wasn't a loss of control. You didn't go to the address and all of a sudden form this intent to kill Carol, kill Louise, kill Hannah. You'd gone there with that sole intention in mind. You went there. The CCTV footage shows throughout that you are cool, you are calm, you're collected, you're considered. There is nothing about that which suggests that you've gone there for anything else than to kill almost an entire family. I'm right in what I'm saying, aren't I, Kyle?
No comment.
Please correct me if I am completely wrong.
Clifford was charged with 3 counts of murder and the sexual assault of Louise Hunt. He refused to attend court, either in person or via video link, throughout the proceedings. In January 2025, he pleaded guilty to all charges, and in May, he was sentenced to a whole life order, meaning he will never be released from prison.
The evidence I have heard shows you to be a jealous man, soaked in self-pity, a man who holds women in utter contempt. This is no occasion to subject the family and friends of your victims to any delay or suspense. I therefore make clear at once that for each of these 3 murders, the sentence will be one of life imprisonment with a whole life order. That means a sentence from which you will never be released.
During sentencing, John Hunt gave an emotional victim impact statement, calling Clifford a psychopath disguised as an ordinary human being. He described the moment he realized this would be his last chance to speak directly to Clifford, and took it. John praised Louise for the strength and grace she showed in ending her relationship. He said, "I hope women round the world will take Louise's bravery as a shining beacon for their lives. If you feel enough is enough, then it is." He added that Hannah's final message may have saved his life. Had she not raised the alarm, Clifford might have waited to kill him too. The court heard that Clifford had discussed his weapons with his siblings, who failed to report it. John Hunt addressed this directly in court, saying, They knew about the weapons. Detective Chief Inspector Nick Gardner said the sentence sends a strong message. Men who commit violence against women will face the full force of the law. But for the Hunt family, and the wider community, the loss is permanent. A mother and her 2 daughters, gone in one day, targeted by a man who believed women were his to control. This wasn't just a tragedy behind closed doors. It was a hate crime, driven by entitlement, rejection, and deep-rooted misogyny. And yet, through the heartbreak, Louise's bravery shines through. She ended a relationship with someone she knew had become dangerous. She stood up for herself. And even though it cost her everything, her courage continues to speak to others who may be facing something similar. This case has also sparked national conversations about how easy it is to buy a crossbow in the UK, how platforms give a voice to dangerous influencers, and how men like Clifford can stockpile weapons without raising alarms. Campaigners are now calling for tougher regulations, not just on weapons, but on the toxic online spaces that normalize violence against women.
Speaker, the Times recently reported that schools across the UK are in crisis as the effects of online influencer Andrew Tate's vile misogyny infiltrates our classrooms and society. Teachers are now having to develop their own resources to re-educate boys who are being brainwashed online by his deeply toxic messaging. The Prime Minister has been too slow to recognise this damage this is causing. What has he done? What is his government doing to tackle this misogyny, this incel culture and the radicalisation of young men in this country? And will he commit to giving teachers the resources that they need to address this problem head-on?
They're also pushing for better support and protection for women leaving controlling or abusive partners, because walking away shouldn't come with this kind of risk. The Hunt family's story is one of love, strength, and unimaginable loss. And now it's also a call for change. If you or someone you know is experiencing abuse or coercive control, please reach out to a local support service or domestic violence helpline. You are not alone, and you deserve to be safe. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel for more content like this. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment below. Until next time, stay safe and stay curious.